Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online regulation F VGC ladder in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and provide live commentary as I go. In this video, I wanted to feature a really unique team that finished 40th in the Global Challenge 2, which is a huge online best-of-1 Wi-Fi tournament. The team features a really awesome combination of Galarian Zapdos with Life Orb, Steel Terra, Tailwind, as well as Wind Rider Shiftry. The idea is that with this combination, you're able to fake out, set up Tailwind with Zapdos, Shiftry gets a attack boost through Wind Rider, and then you can deal massive amounts of damage with both Pokemon. The team also has a really unique Smeargle with Eject Pack, which allows you to disrupt your opponent on turn 1 and then switch out immediately thanks to Eject Pack activating from Moody. This team, I think, is incredibly powerful in best of 1 play, as demonstrated by it doing so well in the Global Challenge, and I'm really eager to feature it. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down below, and thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, would really appreciate it if you consider leaving a like in the video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a ton. Anyway, let's get started. First of all, just for some quick context, the Global Challenge is an online best-of-1 closed team sheet tournament, and it has huge implications for players trying to make it to the World Championships. People can earn championship points from the event, and if you're from some of the Asian regions, you can actually qualify for your respective national championships through this event. And so people take it super seriously. There are 3 of them throughout the season, and this was the second one, which took place in the end of February / the beginning of March. And so you can see the teams from the event, the top 150 teams from players that have published their compositions. Jon finished in 40th place, and so it is obviously a really good finish. And of course, he did it with a really unique team featuring the Shiftry as well as the Galarian Zapdos and Smeargle. So just wanted to provide some quick context. There's one more Global Challenge taking place at the end of March if you want to try out one of these tournaments as well. If you're interested in trying out the team, the rental is on the screen as well as in the description below, and there is also a paste and a link to the original creator's Twitter down in the description below. Now, this team is designed to just do a lot of damage in a short amount of time, and one of the main ways that you can do that is using the combination of Shiftry and Galarian Zapdos. Shiftry is able to use Fake Out, enabling Zapdos to set up Tailwind a little bit easier, and then Shiftry immediately gets an attack boost through its ability Wind Rider. Then this duo can just really overwhelm teams quickly because you have so much good coverage behind Fighting, Flying, Grass, as well as Dark. Normally, people try to stop Shiftry by intimidating it, but if you bring Intimidate out onto the field, Zapdos then gets a Defiant boost that can deal even more damage. You also just have some really powerful attackers in Choice Specs, Flutter Mane, Water Ogerpon, as well as Assault Vest Arcanine. This Assault Vest Arcanine in particular has Head Smash, which gives you a really nice way to just surprise opponents and get a one-hit knockout, because Rock Slide is just a much weaker attack, even when it's doing super effective damage. You also have the Smeargle on the team with Moody Eject Pack, which is a really interesting combination. The idea behind that, of course, is that Smeargle will eject out at the end of the turn thanks to Moody when it's out on the field. So what this means is that you can bring Smeargle out, use it for support for 1 turn, get a Spore off, maybe get Fake Out, use it for Follow Me, switch out immediately, and then bring out a Sweeper safely. So this allows you to lead something like Smeargle plus Zapdos, go for a Fake Out into a Tailwind, and then Smeargle switches out immediately, and then you can bring out any of your attackers in the back. Breaking down each individual Pokemon, we first of all have to start off with Shiftry. Question of the day, by the way, with us using Shiftry, I want to know what other Pokemon you think should get Wind Rider as a buff. Now, Shiftry is a really interesting Pokemon. Its stats are pretty mediocre, but Dark and Grass typing is pretty awesome, and Wind Rider is a really unique ability. This ability works as such. Your attack is raised by 1 if you're hit by a wind move, and there are a lot of moves that classify as wind moves, such as Bleakwind Storm or Heat Wave, or if Tailwind starts. It also gives you complete immunity to wind moves, and so this is incredible in a meta where Tornadus is really common, because right now, most players just run Bleakwind Storm on Tornadus. They're not using other attacks like Icy Wind or Air Slash. So as a result, Shiftry is able to just completely wall a lot of the common Tornadus sets out there and render it completely useless. So the idea, of course, is that with Galarian Zapdos, you can set up Tailwind and get a Wind Rider boost immediately. It's also nice because the Zapdos here is faster than Shiftry, so if you go for Tailwind, Shiftry gets an attack boost immediately. So you don't necessarily need to always click Fake Out and then set up Tailwind. You can just go for Tailwind and then go for damage with Shiftry and threaten with knockouts. Dark Terra just further enhances the damage of Knockoff and Sucker Punch, and Leaf Blade, of course, is a really consistent attack as well. Focus Sash makes a lot of sense on this set. Obviously, Shiftry is not very bulky, as you can see from its stats, and there's no bulk invested in EVs either, so this is designed to just really pressure your opponent and deal the most amount of damage possible. Fast Fake Out is also kind of nice, right? We're in a format right now where everyone's using Rillaboom or Incineroar, and so being able to outspeed those Pokemon and flinch them before they can move is a really big deal. The Shiftry is almost always paired with the Galarian Zapdos here, and so this Galarian Zapdos is also very straightforward, just max attack, max speed. Jolly plus max speed is really nice because there are a lot of Pokemon that are just under Galarian Zapdos' speed range, right? For example, max speed Urshifu is still slower than Zapdos if they're running Choice Scarf, and so being able to threaten Urshifu for a knockout and force them to Terra is a really big deal. The moveset is pretty straightforward. Close Combat and Brave Bird take advantage of your same type attack bonuses, and Tailwind here is really valuable, of course, to set up your whole team, but especially to enable Shiftry in particular. Steel Terra is really valuable on Galarian Zapdos because otherwise you're threatened by Flutter Mane just outspeeding you and KOing you. And one thing that's really funny is if you Terra Steel and then your opponent's Flutter Mane goes for like Moonblast, sometimes they can actually end up activating Defiant because they get a special attack drop, and then that can allow Zapdos to sweep. Defiant is an ability that's just really nice because right now in the format, there's so many ways that people can drop your stats. Intimidate obviously being the main one from Incineroar, but you also have things like Icy Wind from Flutter Mane, as well as Bleakwind Storm from Tornadus, potentially getting speed drops, for example. And so with the Steel Terra, a lot of those effects, for example, you don't really care that much about because you're not taking that much damage, and then you get a boost immediately, and that can allow you to do a lot of damage as well. So you shouldn't necessarily always count on it, but it's something that you can get a lot of value out of. Smeargle is the third Pokemon I want to talk about here, and it's such an interesting set. I've actually seen Eject Pack Smeargle mainly used with Trick Room compositions where you lead it next to something like Farigiraf, and then you pressure Fake Out Spore, get ejected out immediately, and then you bring out something really strong like Torkoal or Ursaluna, for example. On this team, I think it's interesting because, first of all, in best of one play, it's just really hard to anticipate what Smeargle wants to do. Most people anticipate Focus Sash as an item on this Pokemon, sometimes Choice Scarf, but Eject Pack plus Moody is really interesting. The way it works is Eject Pack essentially switches you out immediately once your stats are lowered and it's single use, and Moody obviously will change your stats at the end of the turn, right? So when you have Smeargle out on the field, the Eject Pack will essentially force a switch out at the end of the turn. And so what this allows you to do is go for something like Smeargle plus Galarian Zapdos, and then just pressure with Fake Out, Tailwind, and then Smeargle switches out, and then you go out into Shiftry. I think you can also use Smeargle as a defensive option, right? You can lead something like Smeargle, Flutter Mane, go for Follow Me, Fairy Terra, and just start dealing damage. Smeargle then redirects damage away, and if it survives, then it gets ejected out. If not, it faints, but then you can bring out Ogerpon and then continue going for Follow Me, or go for Fake Out Pressure, for example. So it's a really interesting set. It does no damage, obviously, but it's designed to purely be utility. Wide Guard is such an incredible move. It's able to stop so many spread moves that exist in this format, and spread moves are really everywhere right now, so being able to even get one good Wide Guard can have huge implications. With this speed, by the way, if you get the Moody speed boost and you get to +2, then you basically outpace everything in the format that does not already have a speed boost from something like Tailwind or Choice Scarf or Booster Energy. The final two Pokemon on this team, final three Pokemon on this team are Hisuian Arcanine, Ogerpon, and Flutter Mane. All relatively straightforward sets here. The Flutter Mane is just very offensive, as you can see, but also has a good amount of speed investment. This outpaces a lot of the Flutter Mane speed stats that other people are using. And then one thing to call out here is that you're running Perish Song. I find that with this team, you have a lot of offense, so sometimes what you can set yourself up for is just get 2 quick knockouts, bring out Flutter Mane, click Perish Song, and just end the game immediately. I think the fourth move on Choice Specs Flutter Mane is really flexible. People sometimes run Mystical Fire or Power Gem or Psyshock, for example, but Perish Song is nice because Shiftry and Zapdos often provide so much offense in the early game that you can just bring out Flutter Mane, click Perish Song, and end the game. This Ogerpon is the standard moveset, but one thing to note here is that it's max speed. I think max speed Water Ogerpon is nice because a lot of people anticipate it to be a little bit slower, and this just gives you an edge against all the other Ogerpons that you're going to run into. And if you remember that this team was built for a closed team sheet best of one environment, so I think even just having a faster Ogerpon relative to your opponent's Ogerpons is a really big deal, and the speed investment is just really nice in catching your opponents off guard. This Ogerpon is not exactly the most offensive. As you see, it only has 4 attack EV, so you shouldn't expect to do as much damage as maybe some of the other Ogerpons you've used, but it's really bulky, and of course is an incredible redirection user with that Follow Me. The final Pokemon is Hisuian Arcanine. This is a Pokemon that dominated VGC in the previous format and actually just won a regional championship as well. It's not as common these days, and most people still like using the Choice Band set, but Assault Vest is really nice on this Pokemon as well. What it allows you to do is switch in Hisuian Arcanine onto so many common threats that exist in the format. You think about Pokemon like Tornadus, Flutter Mane, Rillaboom, Incineroar, for example. Those are all top of usage, and Hisuian Arcanine loves switching in all of those. It can soak up some damage and then retaliate back with massive amounts of damage in return. So the main thing to call out here is that you're Fairy Terra, which is really nice defensively, and you are Rock Slide, Flare Blitz, Extreme Speed, and Head Smash. So the idea is to just be able to soak up damage and then also retaliate back with large amounts of damage. In terms of ways to play with the team, I think Shiftry and Zapdos is generally my go-to lead. I often ask myself, okay, do I have a good reason to not bring Shiftry and Zapdos? Now, this lead is obviously vulnerable defensively to, for example, Fairy, as well as Flying, so you're going to have to be a little bit careful. I find it really valuable when they don't really have too many ways to stop Fake Out plus Tailwind, so this is a go-to lead. I think you can also consider something like Smeargle plus Zapdos, which allows you to set up the Tailwind and then safely get Shiftry in, thanks to the Eject Pack. You can go with things like Ogerpon Flutter Mane, Smeargle Flutter Mane if you want to just put on pressure with Flutter Mane in the early game. You can obviously lead Hisuian Arcanine as well, though I find myself generally having it in the back because I find it as a really good defensive pivot as well. But the main purpose of this team obviously is to just overwhelm your opponent with lots of damage, and everything on this team can deal a lot of damage outside of Smeargle. Smeargle is a Pokemon that I generally bring in like matchups where I think it can outpace my opponent and just get a single Spore off. I find this really good into Trick Room matchups where they have to dedicate a lot of resources on turn 1 to set up Trick Room. So Smeargle can set up Spore, put something to sleep, and then eject out to something stronger in the back. So yeah, that's it for a quick breakdown. In terms of weaknesses and things to watch out for, the first thing I want to call out is that Shiftry and Zapdos is a really frail combination. You don't have any bulk on either of these Pokemon, and they share some weaknesses to types like Fairy and Flying. So if things don't go well, if you lead this combination in the first couple of turns, the game can go downhill really, really quickly. And so with Galarian Zapdos, there are a couple things to watch out for. Number one, I've been stopped on the Tailwind end by things like Taunt from Flutter Mane. I've also obviously gone up against opposing Tailwind teams, which can be a little bit scary. The upside is, of course, if you're going up against Tornadus, Shiftry can just wall it if they're only running Bleakwind Storm, so that's pretty nice. But long story short, I think if you're going up against opposing teams that can outpace you, if they have a way to stop your Tailwind, that can be really scary. I've also lost a fair number of games when I was practicing with this team to not utilizing Galarian Zapdos really well. And what that means is maybe I commit my Terra really early on, the Terra doesn't even end up being valuable for that turn, and then once you steal Terra, it opens up a lot of new weaknesses, right? Fire, ground, fighting are all common in this format, and so I've had games, for example, where I Terra Zapdos just to try to survive a turn, they end up just protecting, and then the next turn they threaten me with super effective damage and can just knock me out. I think Galarian Zapdos is such a pivotal Pokemon to winning battles with this team, and so if you take negative trades with Galarian Zapdos and it doesn't get that much damage off, often I think you're going to be at a pretty major disadvantage. Another thing to consider on this team is that you do not have Protect on most Pokemon, so Zapdos and Ogerpon are the only two Pokemon that can Protect, and so I've had games where I position kind of awkwardly, and I'm just unable to really make good switches. I think Choice Scarf, Water Urshifu is also something that can be really scary with Surging Strikes, especially if it has something like Helping Hand support or Rain Dance support, because if Ogerpon does not come out in the battle, it can just KO everything so quickly, and so you got to be really careful about that as well. Generally, I would say this team really wants to outpace opposing teams, and so if your opponent has good speed control as well, that can be really scary. And Shiftry is something that can be pretty volatile. Like, one thing you can do against this team is knock out Zapdos early, and then suddenly Incineroar just becomes such a huge nuisance and intimidate in general, because Shiftry, Ogerpon, and Hisuian Arcanine obviously are all physical attackers, and they're all strong, but they're not, like, insanely powerful, so a single Intimidate can really stop your damage output a little bit. I've also run into, I think, like, Focus Sash on random Pokemon that's giving me some trouble when I expect to get a knockout, and then take negative trades against that. So those are just a couple of things I wanted to call out. Okay, we are up against the 6 Letoller Web used to win the Knoxville Regional Championships. This team has Nasty Plot, Metal Cloak, Golden Go, Tornadus with Tailwind, Salt Vest Raging Bolt, Dark Urshifu, Focus Sash, Follow Me Water Ogerpon, and Incineroar. Shiftry plus Zapdos is awesome into this team, I think, because you pressure with your own Tailwind with Zapdos, and then if you Bleakwind Storm, Shiftry just eats that up. It also has knockoff pressure onto Golden Go. So Shiftry plus Zapdos. I like Flutter Mane. And I like Hisuian Arc, I think. Yeah, that works for me. I could go with Ogre here, but Hisuian Arc is just a little bit nicer into Golden Go in my opinion. And Smeargle I don't think is super strong here because we can't Fake Out or Spore Golden Go. And that, in my opinion, is a huge threat. I think the value of Smeargle is actually threatening with Wide Guard, but because of Eject Pack, like, if we lead it, we're probably not going to click Wide Guard on turn 1 anyway. It's going to be a Torn Urshifu. Okay, that works for me. Wouldn't be shocked to just see a double protect here on turn 1, personally. I don't mind trading Tailwinds here because of Zapdos. Yeah, I think Fake Out into Urshifu, Terra, Steel, and Tailwind here is pretty safe. By going for Terra Steel, Bleakwind Storm just does very minimal damage. If they go for double protect here turn 1, then turn 2 I can just Sucker Punch and Brave Bird into the Urshifu slot. And so one of the nice things with this lead is with Steel Terra and with Wind Rider on Shiftry, your Bleakwind Storms are just not nearly as scary. We'll see if they end up just protecting with both. Nope. Okay, so we get Fake Out off. It looks like they're clicking Bleakwind, so Shiftry's going to get to +2 immediately, which is awesome. Very nice. Urshifu flinches. Perfect. Okay. Yep, Zapdos tanks that. Okay, so this is awkward. We get the Defiant boost, but because of that drop, it now means that Urshifu outpaces Zapdos, so you can just go for close combat onto that slot now for a knockout. So, normally I'd be pretty excited to see that, but now, like I said, yeah, the Tailwind play is really potent. Given that I predict close combat, though, I think we can just switch in Flutter Mane right now. Yeah, so I'm down to just Leaf Blade Urshifu here. And switch into Flutter. I could also just give up Zapdos, I guess, here, because there's a chance they end up just close combating Shiftry. But I think Zapdos is way too big of a threat for you to ignore right now. Yep, so they set up their own Tailwind. Wow, okay, nicely done. They do end up close combating Shiftry. I don't mind that, though, because you now definitely faint from Leaf Blade. And once again, the Tornadus is in a really bad spot right now, right? Like, Bleakwind doesn't do anything into the Shiftry slot. And, like, that turn was a little bit risky because I could have just gotten a double knockout, and then you're stuck facing this Zapdos for the remainder of the game, right? But Shiftry with +2 Sucker Punch right now is insanely, insanely powerful. So let's see what they bring out. Nice play to target Shiftry there, though. I think if they ended up close combating into the Zapdos slot and Shiftry still has full HP, they're in so much danger. They actually bring Golden Go out. Okay, so this is interesting because I would expect Golden Go to Terra here, personally, into Fairy. And, like, Tornadus is still just not very helpful for my opponent. In fact, they're kind of gated by it. But I think +2 knockoff here, plus Moonblast probably also works onto Golden Go. This covers for both Terra and non-Terra. Of course, this turn they could protect Golden Go and just click Bleakwind Storm. But I'm okay aggressively targeting the Golden Go slot for now. Because essentially, like, Tornadus is kind of bad for my opponent, right? If I knock that out, I give them a free switch in to whatever they have in the back. And they're actually going to make the switch manually here. Okay. Into Incineroar. Okay, that makes sense. Well, let's see. Are you Terraing Golden Go then is now the question. I would expect it to Terra. Yep. I don't know if Moonblast plus the Leaf Blade gets the the knockoff gets the knockout now. We'll see. If it gets the KO, then I think the game is just immediately over. But this Golden Go is pretty tanky. Go for Moonblast. Oh, never mind. That does enough for sure, I think. Beautiful. Cool. So this is a case of basically taking advantage of the fact that we have pretty good coverage across the board. They bring Tornadus back in. You can't click Fake Out onto Flutter Mane. You still have one turn of Tailwind. Hisuian Arcanine now actually just wins the game for us, I think. So we should be good. Yeah, I had to adapt my gameplay a little bit because of that speed drop on turn 1. Because otherwise the Zapdos just outspeeds Urshifu, which is one of the main reasons you actually want to use it. 2 turns of Tailwind, 1 turn of Tailwind. Fake Out onto Shiftry makes sense. So we can just switch this out into Hisuian Arcanine now. Get it Intimidate. And just click Moonblast. I'll just target Tornadus. The main thing that turn is recognizing that their Tornadus does not apply that much offensive pressure. So even if Golden Go protects, if Tornadus stays out on the field and clicks Bleakwind Storm, okay, well, Shiftry has Wind Rider, so that's fine. And Flutter, you just get like 30% damage onto maybe, right? If they had now gone for that plan, then just protected the Golden Go and then brought in the Incineroar, then I think things would get a little bit more awkward because then you have Fake Out plus make it Rain Pressure the next turn. But my response to that would be to just switch in Hisuian Arcanine because you're not that powerful before the nasty plot. So yeah, I am happy to just Extreme Speed Tornadus now and just Moonblast into Incineroar. But yeah, I think like this game highlights why Shiftry is such a cool pick. Being able to absorb pressure from opposing Tornaduses and wall them and make them pretty useless is amazing here. One thing you do actually have to be careful about that I didn't mention so far in the battle, though, is the Rocky Helmet, because Shiftry really does not want that Focus Sash broken. So if I had if I had clicked Fake Out or Knockoff onto the Tornadus slot and eaten Rocky Helmet damage, that would have been awkward for Shiftry, because then essentially just feints from a move that brings it down to 1 HP, right? But Flare Blitz comes out now. Flutter's going to faint, but we just need one more attack to win the game now. So yeah, don't underestimate the power of Shiftry's offense in this one. Leaf Blade got the knockout onto Urshifu after the +2, and they were at -1 defense. And then, of course, we had the knockoff finishing off Golden Go. The main thing that turn is that they tear it rather than protect and switch into Incin. So now we can just Extreme Speed and... Actually, I don't know if Fake Out Extreme Speed gets the KO here. Let's see. It maybe hangs on with like 5 to 10 HP. Yeah. But Extreme Speed can't miss, whereas our other moves can miss. Not that it really makes a difference in this endgame. But yeah, I think if you are going up against an opposing Tornadus team, you should always consider Shiftry. One thing that's interesting is that Brambleghast with Wind Rider was actually picking up in usage in the previous regulation towards the end of the format. And so some players were actually moving away from the Bleakwind Storm on Tornadus and using Air Slash and Icy Wind, for example. But I would say almost all Tornaduses in this format right now are carrying Bleakwind, since Brambleghast is not nearly as relevant. And so as a result, it's actually a cool meta for Shiftry to thrive into. But yeah, really happy to showcase how good Shiftry can be into, you know, one of the championship winning teams from this season. Okay, we are up against... I was going to say Incineroar. There's no Incineroar. It's Hard Trick Room, but you also... Actually, it's not Hard Trick Room, because you have Lilligant, Drago, as well as Torkoal. I think I've actually featured this team, or a very similar version of this team, on the channel before. And the idea is, if I remember correctly, that team had Choice Scarf Regidrago, which is really scary. I think one thing that's huge for us in this game is actually going to be the Smeargle, because it has access to Wide Guard. So I'm actually really thinking about Smeargle right now. Especially with Eject Pack as well. But I don't know if it's the exact same team from the one that I featured. Either way, I think I want to bring Smeargle. I think Perish is good too. Ideally, we just get knockouts quickly. Yeah, I mean, Smeargle puts on pressure with Spore immediately, which I like. Shiftry does have Sash. I'm trying to figure out who I don't want to bring. Smeargle, Lilligant, Ogre, Shiftry. This is kind of a weird one. I don't think Zapdos is that good here, because we don't want to set up Tailwind, most likely. Hisuian Arcanine is solid, but inability to protect is scary. But I guess I can't really protect with anything other than Smeargle and Zapdos. But let's see, I think like Smeargle being able to apply pressure with Spore is really good. They actually just go with Torkoal Lilligant. Okay. This is where Hisuian Arcanine would have been perfect, but I didn't bring it, which is actually really scary. There's some pretty big mind games on turn 1 already. Because basically, I have Fake Out pressure, so I could just go for Fake Out onto Lilligant. They could just go with After You Eruption. That's the least likely option, in my opinion, with Smeargle out on the field. Like, Ghost Terra here would make sense. I think I actually want to go for Follow Me the most here, which covers for Ghost Terra. And Dazzling Gleam. Follow Me also gets around... It gets around a bunch, right? It gets around Ghost Terra. It gets around After You, because it redirects After You to Smeargle. Yeah, so they are going to Terra a little again. Which means I can bring out Shiftry now this next turn. Oh, okay, they go for Protect. That's fine. I'm going to guess then they're either going for Solar Blade or Sleep Powder here. And they go for Sleep Powder, and they are going to miss, which is definitely fortunate for us. So I get a big Dazzling Gleam off. Choice Specs boosted and Photosynthesis boosted. The cool thing about this Smeargle is even if Sleep Powder connected, Eject Pack just switches us out anyway. Defense boost. Special attack drop. Not that it matters. Alright. Bye, Smeargle. Thank you for your work. Oh, this is sick. Now I just bring out Ogerpon. And with Ogerpon, I just follow me. I almost think I want to Fairy Terra this, just so you do even less damage. To be honest, I don't think they should ever click Sleep Powder here because of the threat of Follow Me, but I think I still want to respect it. I think I'm down to Follow Me and actually just Fairy Terra here. Yeah, like, I just want to start dishing out damage here. And, like, what else would I Terra in this game? The answer would probably be Ogerpon. But because the sun is up, it's not like Ogerpon's Ivy Cudgels are doing that much damage anyway. And with them having committed their Terra, like, Fairy Terra Dazzle just does so much. It's like a 2-hit knockout onto everything, basically. And, yeah, I just don't want to lose the Sleep Powder, basically. Yep, okay, so they smartly go for Solar Blade. So this turn I could have gone like Ivy Cudgel plus Dazzle, and that probably just KOs Torkoal, but I'm still fine covering for Sleep Powder here. It's just not a risk I want to take. And they'll probably click Heat Wave, but that's fine, right? Because, like, now what I'll do is, first of all, Dazzling does, yeah, over 50% to Torkoal with the Terra, so another one KOs. And then I can just bring Shiftry out, and with Shiftry I can click Knock Off Dazzle into whatever is coming out for a KO, most likely. Yep, and they click Eruption, so we should survive that with Ogre. I actually don't want to survive that. Ooh. That's a little awkward. The reason I don't want to survive that is because now it yeah, allows them to bring out Indeedee, and with Indeedee, you can just go for Protect and Trick Room. But I think it's okay, because I can just bring Smeargle out and click Wide Guard with it. Because I want to cover for Helping Hand Heat Wave. So I'll switch out into Smeargle right now. And Dazzling. Yeah, I did just a little bit too much damage. I would have preferred the Torkoal to have gotten the knockout onto Ogerpon. But it's okay. Smeargle's out. Yep, Torkoal protects. And now we get to use Wide Guard. Oh, I'm so excited for this next turn. This is one of the reasons why, like, Smeargle's a really cool Pokemon, right? Like, it's already hard enough to fight against in Best of 1, but expecting Eject Pack and Wide Guard, so challenging. Also, we did enough damage to Indeedee there, so never mind. Horn Leech plus the Dazzle would have just won us the game there. I honestly didn't expect to do that much to Indeedee, but I think part of it is forgetting about the Photosynthesis boost. That's fine, though. Wide Guard kind of just hard shuts them down at this point, so you just click Wide Guard and Dazzle. I mean, unless this is like Flamethrower or Earth Power, the game should just be over. Like the whole... But Smeargle pretty much always runs Eruption, Heat Wave, Earth Power, and I doubt you're clicking Earth Power here. Nice. Good. I'm really happy to feature Smeargle in this game. It was incredible for us. If the Sleep Powder had connected on turn 1, yeah, I mean, like, I should have just gone Ivy Cudgel plus Dazzling. That would have been stronger, but I guess if I had gone for that, I would have been able to showcase the Wide Guard. So that's a double knockout. Now it's 4v1. Let's see what their final one is. And we still have Shiftry with Focus Sash in the back, which is huge, because obviously you can just tank and attack. Defense boost is actually quite nice if it ends up being Ursaluna. Nope, it's Hatterene. Okay. Does this even run a non-spread move? I guess it could be Mystical Fire. I'm still just going to click Wide Guard here, yo. And Gleam. Yeah, they just end up forfeiting. like, it's a 4v1 from that position, and I have Shiftry in the back, right? So Shiftry can just come out, click knockoff. Ogerpon can spiky shield as well. So yeah, but I do think I could have played one turn better, which is getting the knockout onto Indeedee. I just wasn't confident on Horn Leech plus Dazzling getting the KO, but Fairy, Terra, Choice Specs boosted with Photosynthesis just does so much damage. So yeah, that turn would have worked out a little bit better for me. Because if we just get the knockout there, then you just bring Hatterene out, and then Dazzling Gleam just knocks out Torkoal, right? And then I just Gleam and Horn Leech everything. So the main thing about a team like that is, like, if you commit to the Torkoal Lilligant mode early, you need to get a lot out of it, because otherwise setting up Trick Room is actually not that easy. If you wanted to guarantee Trick Room with that team, I think you would want to consider something like Indeedee plus Hatterene, for example. But the idea behind my lead is that Smeargle pressures Spore onto Hatterene, or sorry, onto Indeedee. You can't actually Spore Hatterene because of Magic Bounce. So I would Spore into the Indeedee slot. I would Fairy, Terra, Dazzling Gleam. Smeargle would get ejected out, and then I would be able to bring out something like Shiftry or Ogerpon immediately. I also can't help but think Arcanine actually is worth bringing, though, because if in the scenario where they lead Indeedee plus Hatterene, I think Arcanine's a slightly nicer switch-in because of the Assault Vest being able to take an Expanding Force. But yeah, I think Smeargle is actually one of the most important Pokemon in this matchup because of Follow Me as well as Spore Pressure, and then Wide Guard, of course, to deal with all the spread moves that exist on the opposing side. That is a Slitherwing. I am terrified. I have no idea what this Pokemon does, like, whatsoever. Okay. There's also a Heatran, which I feel like has really fallen out of the format, but it is actually maybe a little bit underplayed right now. So I'm curious about that. And also an Annihilate, but, like, no beat up next to it. Huh. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I think Zapdos is incredible here. It's got Brave Bird and Close Combat. Like, it hits everything for almost a one-hit knockout even, which is crazy. Given that it's a Tornadus team, I think Shiftry plus Zapdos here is fine. I think Hisuian Arcanine is fine. And I think I want Ogerpon. I don't know, do I not bring Flutter in this one? It feels kind of weird to drop. Shadow Ball is actually good offensively into everything, basically. It could be Flutter over Arc here, honestly. But I like Arcanine because it matches up super well into opposing Flutter mains with the Assault Vest. Crazy team, though. I just don't really know what to expect specifically from Annihilate or the Slitherwing. I think First Impression is the main move that you want to respect when you face down a Slitherwing. But yeah, I don't know. I love the Shiftry Zapdos lead here. I feel okay with it. These games are scary just because it's best of one. You're going up against a Pokemon that is not very commonly used. And so, you know, a single surprise move or tactic can catch me off guard for sure. So let's see. Slitherwing has hit the field, folks. Okay. Okay. Well, if you Heat Wave, Wind Rider activates, which is pretty sweet. I do pressure with just not banded, Life Orb Close Combat right now, but I think I still prefer to just set up Tailwind turn 1, Fake Out. Alright, here's a Terra. Who's Terraing? It's the Slitherwing into what, Ghost? Fire Terra. Okay. I think that's fine with me. Heatran did not protect, so I could have gone for Close Combat there, but I don't regret going for Tailwind here. Might as well just get boosted. Wind Rider. And they click Heat Wave. Yep, so Shiftry gets another attack boost. Very nice. And Zapdos dodges it, unfortunately. I mean, given that, I think we can just Close Combat this and knock off into this, no? It's funny, like, Brambleghast was used in the previous format. Actually, just switch out. Okay, that's fine. Into what? Tornadus. Okay, I mean, that's a +2 knockoff going into the Torn slot. I'm not sure you even survive that. Life Orb Close Combat now into Heatran. Yeah, that's a KO. That's why I was expecting Heatran to Terra or Protect on turn 1, but I think people just kind of underestimate how strong Zapdos is. And I guess this is Life Orb Zapdos as well, which is not normally the case. Like, most Zapdoses are Choice Scarfed. Shifter goes for knockoff. Bye-bye. I'm sorry, Slitherwing. I don't even know what it was really trying to do with Fire Terra, honestly. Covert Cloak on Torn, which makes sense. Okay. It's the field. What's the last one? Flutter Mane? Cool. Works for me. No booster energy. So we can just go for Brave Bird onto you and knock off onto you. Yeah, they got first impression, but we're focus sashed, so that's why I'm fine not going for anything else. I think this might just be a double knockout. Let's see. Life Orb, Brave Bird on a Flutter Mane. Oh, is that Sash? Okay, cool. If my opponent had actually protected the Slitherwing and gone for Dazzling Gleam, that may have been stronger since they have the surprise of Sash. But I think they probably weren't expecting us to have Sash on Shiftry. So, knockoff gets the knockout. We got a crit there, but I don't think that mattered. Even if it did, like, we still have 2 Pokemon in the back after these 2 faint, so it would be fine. And it was a Assault Vest. Okay, cool. So they couldn't protect with that slot. Makes sense. Assault Vest Slitherwing. Interesting. I wonder what moves you used. Like, Close Combat, Flare Blitz, U-Turn First Impression. Could run Leech Life. Double KO, but now we have just Arc and Ogerpon. I think this was just a game where, like, Tailwind is so strong and Heatran was a liability for my opponent. Like, by clicking Heat Wave, they just gave me a boost instead, right? And so, yeah, Wind Rider is an awesome ability. Heat Wave is not that common in this format, other than from, like, Chi-Yu. Just Flare Blitz so we don't miss here. And Ivy Cudgel. Yeah, so Heat Wave is not that common on things other than, like, Chi-Yu, I would say. But Bleakwind Storm is everywhere, with Tornadus being so common. And so, throughout the course of this episode, we've already highlighted Wind Rider activity twice thanks to the opposing side. And that's one of the things about Shiftry. It's a Pokemon that both Shiftry and Zapdos are Pokemon that people probably don't have that much experience fighting against, and so it's hard to expect a lot of these moves, right? Like, hard to expect Tailwind plus Life Orb from Zapdos, especially because so many times when you see Zapdos, you expect Choice Scarf. I know that's what I would expect if I were to fight against it in Best of 1, and, like, Shiftry and Zapdos is not just a duel that, like, is very common or meta, right? So it's, I think once you learn about it, it's a little bit easier for counterplay, but if you have not seen it before, which I had not, it's really scary and really hard to anticipate what's going to happen. Okay, wow, I was just talking about Chi-Yu, and now we're actually up against a Chi-Yu with Indeedee male Flutter Mane, Landorus, Ogerpon, and Tornadus. I'm just so used to seeing Indeedee female because that's by far the most common. I just thought about that immediately, but male is interesting. What it allows for is Imprison and Trick Room, which is what I would expect here because their team seems really fast-paced and offensive. I think Shiftry plus Zapdos is probably the way to go here. There is some room for Smeargle, though, but I don't know. Like, I think Shiftry, Zapdos, Arcanine... Sorry, did I say Shiftry Flutter? I mean Shiftry Zapdos. The question is what I want as the 4th, because both Flutter and Ogre are good here, right? Like, they don't have a single Fairy resistance, and one would think Flutter is just really strong here. Ogre becomes an interesting Terra candidate. With Water Terra and the special defense boost, they just don't do that much damage to us. I think I lean a little bit more towards Flutter here, but I wouldn't be surprised if I lost this game and then suddenly thought, okay, well, Ogre would have been a lot stronger here. So, let's see. I think you can make a good argument for both. But to me, the lack of resistances to Fairy at all just means that Flutter 2-shots everything if I Fairy Terra Dazzle, I think. I said 2-shots everything. I mean, I would actually maybe expect their Flutter to, yeah, knock that 2-hit KO by that. Tornado, okay. This is really good for me, no? You just activated Defiant. Did they DC because they saw the leads? Yeah, I mean, they were in so much trouble with that turn 1, especially if Tornadus didn't have a non-Bleakwind Storm attacking move, because then I just fake out into Landorus turn 1 and just Tailwind. That's hilarious. Normally with these games, like, I just remove the disconnection, but I think this one is just so funny. I want to keep it in the video, so yeah. All right, what do we got for this one? Yo, I didn't even know Vespiquen was in the game. And a Clodser? Cresselia, Hands, Hisuian Arcanine, Goodra. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've seen Clodser since like 2014 either. I have no idea what to expect here at all. I do expect setup. Okay, so my general game plan here is I actually want to use Parasol on Fluttermane. I want to get 2 quick knockouts and then just Parasol and end the game. Because there's a lot of shenanigans that might come out right now. I'm thinking about bringing Smeargle just for Spore pressure. Like, I could lead it and just Spore, but Cresselia can just wake things up with Lunar Blessing. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Safety Goggles. So maybe that's not the best call. I think it being Belly Drum Hands would actually make a lot of sense. I'm going to go Shiftry Flutter. Okay. Ogre. I'm actually thinking I want to play a Flutter-centric game and just get 2 knockouts and then Parasol, but I don't know. Okay, I'm going to bring Arcanine. This is a weird one. Like, I'm completely thrown off because I just don't know what the Vespiquen or Clotzer do. I'm also wondering if I'm, like, lasering focusing on those too much and they just go with the bottom 4 of Arc, Hand, Cress, and Goodra, which would be a lot easier to fight against just because I at least know what those Pokemon want to do. Cress Hands, yeah. I really think this is Belly Drum coming out. Okay, fake out Cress. I mean, what if it's a Assault Vest and it just heavy slams me, right? I just have a gut feeling it's... Okay, I'm going to fake out Fairy Terra Dazzle. In an ideal world, they go Protect Iron Hands Trick Room. Or they Terra Hands Belly Drum and try to Trick Room. And I deny Trick Room. I don't know. Maybe I'm indexing too much on Belly Drum Hands. It's just I feel like with so many Hands Crest teams I've seen. Okay, they don't fake out. Or sorry, they don't Terra. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, nice. Okay, as long as you're not Covert Cloak Crest now, this is a fantastic turn 1. That looks like AB to me. Perfect. Okay, that works. That works. You're trying to set up Trick Room. That Dazzle looks like a 2-hit knockout onto this. So unless you have a defensive Terra, I actually like going for knockoff here on a Hands and Dazzling Gleam, because I think Hands going for Terra here just to like try to surprise me and get a KO onto Flutter would make sense. But they switch out, which is fine. I just get rid of whatever's item is coming in now. What in the heck is that? It's the Queen. All hail. Pressure. Okay. Oh, they do have a defensive Terra. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Spaghetti-o. I don't think you survive Gleam still, right? I mean, this doesn't help defensively against Dazzling Gleam. But maybe, I don't know. Like, Fake Out Chip did add a lot. Yeah, that's just a KO. I didn't think there was anything they could do to stop this. Unless it was like a Steel Terra, for example. But I think Hands is the bigger threat. I actually don't think Trick Room going up would be the end of the world for us here. Cool. And now we just knock out Vespiquen. What item did you have? Lefties? I almost wish we could have seen what was coming our way. But I'm also glad to avoid total danger. Okay, it's going to be Hands and Goodra here in the back. The Perish Song endgame now should just be a good win con. You can fake out into Flutter now. I'm just going to double switch here. The game still isn't over, but I think we just My main question, I guess, is whether or not I go for the Parasol win con or just win through offense, because now I can just double up. I think this next turn, because it's Assault Vest hands, we just guaranteed a knockout onto that slot. Then it's a 4v1 against Goodra, and then I can just go for Follow Me, bring out Flutter, Parasong. But right now we have a free knockout to take on in front of us, which is on Iron Hands. Yep, fake out. Shelter. Nope, Heavy Slam. Good. I think Flare Blitz and Horn Lead should cover for any Terra hands would want to go for here. No, it could be Water Terra, right? Flare Blitz. Could be Water Terra, could be Fire Terra. I mean, I don't think Hands is going to Terra here, but let's see. I'll just Ivy Cudgel it. Okay, no Terra. Oh, what am I saying Terra? They Terra'd Cresselia already. I think I'm just so thrown off by it because, like, I didn't understand why Cresselia Terra'd earlier. I mean, it was to get around a knockoff being super effective, I guess. But yeah, I need to think about that turn as much as I did. Flare Blitz also just does almost half to Goodra. I think this is one of those games where I'm just a little thrown off because I'm like, what is going on right now? But turn 1 worked out perfectly. I think, if anything, they probably should have considered tearing Iron Hands immediately on turn 1 because Dazzle was just so powerful immediately. So now we can just go out into Flutter and Follow Me. I think Moonblast might just get the knockout, honestly. And Follow Me here makes Goodra's life so hard. Yeah, they protect. But I think, yeah, Perish is a guaranteed victory here. So, might as well just click it. Especially because Shiftry has Fake Out pressure. So, in this game, it wasn't, like, super relevant, but that was one of the main win cons I thought about going into this game, just because, like, against these ultra bulky Pokemon, it just gives you a free win button. So, Perish, Follow Me here. They would need to... I don't even think a +2 Body Press crit knocks out Ogre, but even if it does, I just bring out Shiftry, I click Fake Out, and then I position Flutter out. Yep, they go for Body Press. Actually, with the crit, they would have gotten the knockout. That's good to know. Yeah. But, like, even if they had gotten that knockout, like I mentioned, I still have Shiftry in the back, right? So Shiftry just has Fake Out. And, like, they can't pick up enough knockouts in enough turns. So, yeah. So, I can just switch out into Shiftry now. Follow Me. The sequencing, if a critical hit had happened there, it's 3 turns of Parashong. I bring out Shiftry. I click Fake Out onto Goodra. I switch Flutter Mane out into Arcanine. Then it's 2 turns of Parasong. And then Goodra just can't pick up 3 knockouts in 2 turns. So, yeah. Even if a crit had happened, Parasong's just a guaranteed win there. I mean, I think Moonblast also just gets the knockout there, but I wanted to just showcase how you can use Parasong in these endgames to win. Once again, like in this endgame, not super relevant since we had enough offense, but let's say we were up against a Goodra that had defensively teared into something like can resist Fairy, then the Parasong becomes a lot more relevant there. Alright, we have another Trick Room team here, but there's Gallade, which scares me a lot. I think Gallade is actually so darn good. I've lost against this so many times. Indeedee, Gallade, Drago, Torkoal, King Gambit, and Hatterene. Okay. So with Gallade, you normally run Clear Amulet. Oh man, I actually think Gallade clears us. Like, Indeedee Gallade here is very scary. I don't know how fast Gallades are. Like, I think a lot of people run max HP, max attack, which would mean Spore pressure from this is nice. It's going to be Clear Amulet, I think. So I don't know if I love Hisuian Arcanine, but it's still a good switch in into if they go with Hatterene stuff. I'm thinking Shiftry Smeargle. Flutter. Ogre would allow me to Terra, potentially. Soak up some damage. Okay. I'm going to go Ogre because I think Arcanine here can actually benefit my opponent where it's dead weight into Clear Amulet Glade, and then it can also activate Defiant on King Gambit. So I don't want to bring it. But yeah, I think the idea with this lead combo is I have Spore Pressure immediately. Yeah, it is Indeedee Glade. Spore Pressure and Knockoff Pressure immediately. They might just close combat. Or, sorry, Sacred Sword. Smeargle. This seems crazy. Is it ever Terra Smeargle? But, like, they could just Psycho Cut into that, right? This is probably sashed. Alright, I'm just gonna knock off Spore. Go follow me. Oh. So close to getting that KO. Okay, they're a Helmet. Alright, we at least get the Spore off. So, what, Indeedee might be clicking Dazzling. I would probably guess Trick Room, though. If I were to replay this game, I would actually just Dark Terra Shiftry turn 1 to get the knockout onto Indeedee, but I didn't know what item it was. I think Sash is very possible there. Okay, Smeargle gets ejected out now. Boop. I mean, that worked out, though. That was kind of what I was going for, turn 1, so I'm not going to be too upset about it. I mean, it's a 2/3 chance right now to just get a double knockout with Dazzling. Like, I think I want to switch now into Smeargle, because this might go for Dazzling Gleam, and then I'll go for my own Dazzle. But if they get a 1-turn Wake with Glade here, I'm going to be in bad shape. But I'm willing to take those odds. Like, there's not much I can do around that, I think, in this matchup. Ah, but they do wake up. Okay. Oh, but they commit to Wide Guard. Okay, so they don't actually attack. So I could have Moonblasted here. Yeah, they go for their own Dazzling. Now we're in this interesting dance where it's like, I have Follow Me, so I think I'd rather prefer to Follow Me. Ooh, especially with that defense boost. That's a good moody boost to get. So this turn is interesting, right? Because obviously I know you have Wide Guard, so it's like, would I actually click Dazzling Gleam again? But I think it's just so strong here, and Indeedee's not doing much. The main decision to make is with Smeargle. Would I prefer to Follow Me to cover for Glade attacking, or would I rather Spore into the Indeedee slot? Because I could see Indeedee switching out right now. I prefer Follow Me Gleam here. I mean, they're going for Follow Me, which makes me think that they're just attacking with Glade here. Which I'd be okay with. Yep. And we survived thanks to that moody defense boost from earlier. That's amazing. Oh, but we don't KO Glade. I could have Terra'd there to secure that knockout. Okay. Torkoal now out, maybe? Gambit. Gambit, 2 turns of Trick Room. But I can't Fake Out with this. You can just use Gambit to target Smeargle for a knockout and then Psycho Cut into this, which is bad. So I think I switch Flutter out into Shiftry here to try to take that attack. I don't think I should ever get Spore off here, but for some reason if they doubled up onto Flutter, that would punish them. And then the idea, I think, is ideally position Ogre Flutter out next to each other and then just Terra Flutter, Follow Me, Dazzle, Dazzle, Dazzle. Oh, they actually went for Iron Head. Play was a little risky by them because if I went for Follow Me with Smeargle, Iron Head would have gone off into Smeargle, and then the... Oh, they went for Sacred Sword, though, anyway, right? Yeah, so if I stayed in with Flutter, then Flutter actually would have crushed it there. But that's fine. I just bring out Ogre now. Oh, I guess the main decision to make is whether or not I'd want to lock into Wide Dazzle in this endgame because of the pressure of Wide Guard. And I don't know what Terra Gambit has either. So I'm going to Spiky here. And knock off. But yeah, that turn was a little bit risky. Like, I could have just stayed in. But it was a good read by them, right? Because I think it's too important to give up Flutter. Yeah, nice Sword Stance. Great plays by them back-to-back turns, honestly. Good reads on, like, who's protecting. Expires. Terrain disappears. I kind of want to make a hard read here, which is that... So this pressures Trick Room right now. This could obviously Wide Guard, but Wide Guard would be kind of nuts when I can just double up on Gambit for damage. Like, I think I want to Terra, Cudgel, and lock into Gleam here. Because I don't... Like, Sucker Punch here is really risky, right? Because there's the pressure of Follow Me. So, this could lose me the game. But... I don't know. What would be a better option? Because there's the option of them protecting with King Gambit and then just trying to set up Trick Room. So, this would cover for that. There's the option of them just attacking with Gambit right now. Perfect. Yep, it worked. They ended up not Sucker Punching or Wide Guarding, which was kind of the read I was going for here. And this should just be a double knockout now. And this also covered for a defensive Terra from Gambit that resists the Fairy. So I wanted a Terra Ogerpon rather than Flutter. Nice. But yeah, I think if I were to play this game differently, knowing that the Smeargle actually did just outpace Gallade, I think Dark Terra Shiftry. In a best of 3, I would go Dark Terra Shiftry. In a best of 1, I wouldn't do that confidently because Indeedee being sashed in this team makes so much sense. I'll just Cudgel and Gleam again. Nice. All right. Yeah, Smeargle's really interesting into comps like this. Like, Wide Guard is such a nice move. Not super relevant in this game. And also, don't forget, like, they did get an early wake up, right? If they didn't wake up that turn with Gallade, Gleam just gets the knockout onto Indeedee, brings Gallade super low, and then I have Follow Me pressure the subsequent turn with Flutter, and I can just stay in. I guess the thing is then, though, because they survived with Gallade, they could have just, you know, woken up the subsequent turn. So I wonder if it was worth it to just spend my Fairy Terra a little bit earlier on Flutter Mane to guarantee the knockout onto Gallade. I just didn't think Gallade would actually survive that Gleam to begin with, so I didn't think I needed it. But given that it survived, that would have been a little bit more useful. And then the other turn is when they went Iron Head and Sacred Sword. Like, I could have stayed in with Flutter there, but I think it's fair to assume that they're just going to Iron Head or Kowtow Cleave Smeargle and then go for Psycho Cut onto Flutter. So I don't regret making that switch, personally. All right, let's see what we got for this one. It's going to be Gouging Fire, Ting-Lu, Champao, Galarian Zapdos, Frigoraph, and Ogerpon. A lot of different concepts all in one. Gouging Fire, Champao, really common. Normally there's Gambit on those comps, so it's interesting to not see one there. No Fairy Resistances, but Ting-Lu obviously is kind of scary. I'm actually really looking at Smeargle here. And the reason for that is because of a guaranteed Spore into Gouging Fire if they lead that. And I can Ghost Terra. I guess they don't have Gambit, but they have Zapdos. It's cool to see their own Zapdos there. I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if it's Scarf Zapdos and then you just lead it with Gouging Fire. Okay, I'm thinking Smeargle Zapdos on my end. Huh. I'm almost thinking about a Flutter Mane Parasong win con in this one. All of our Pokemon are pretty good, so it's actually kind of hard to see who to drop here. Running out of time. I think I like Shiftry the least. And not bringing Intimidate into a matchup when they have Gouging Fire and so many physical attackers feels silly. But I'm a little bit worried about my Ting-Lu matchup given that I'm not bringing Ogerpon here. That being said, Zapdos pressures Ting-Lu with a ton of damage. So let's see. Zapdos for Frigoraph. Okay. What do I want to do here? Can't click Fake Out. I expect this to be Scarfed. rather put Farigiraf to sleep here. I don't mind Ghost Terra Spore and Detect here. The problem with this play is Safety Goggles on Farigiraf, which is actually a decently common item on that set. Or on that Pokemon. The idea behind Ghost Terra here is that close combat now won't knock out Smeargle. I also don't faint from Brave Bird from the opposing end. So we Detect. Okay, they Brave Bird into Zapdos. Nice. We get Spore off. Maybe it should have been Spore in a Zapdos. I'm not sure. Problem is I get ejected out now, and I used my Terra for that. I was hoping to see close combat instead. Oh, and we had the speed boost. Actually would have been sick to not have Eject Pack here. Okay. Well, I don't want to bring out... Yeah, I think we got to go into Flutter here. If I were my opponent, I'd be targeting Flutter here. I don't know if Zapdos is really that important to this. So, I want to switch Flutter out into Smeargle right now, I think. And Brave Bird. They could Terra Zapdos here. I think this would be a great turn to Terra. This is also risky because they could just Brave Bird into the Zapdos slot, right? Farigiraf switches out. Gouging Fire, okay. I mean, if we were to get the knockout this turn, that would be huge. But like I said, I think Terra Zapdos here and then KO one slot would be the safest play from them. Oh, they're not Scarfed. Oh, okay. I didn't even think about that possibility. I, like, hard locked myself into thinking they're going to be Choice Scarf. They're going to be Choice Scarf, but they weren't. Special attack, not helpful. Speed drop, not helpful. Actually helpful in the sense that if Farigiraf gets an early wake up, we could put it back to sleep immediately. So not completely useless either. But if you are just burning Bulwark on Gouging Fire, I just get to Spore you now. So this is a very safe Spore. Now that we've eliminated Zapdos, we just pivot out into Hisuian Arcanine. Man, I was like, okay, you know, I have to make a read here this turn. I think they're going to Brave Bird into the Flutter main slot, but I didn't even think about the possibility that they just weren't going to be Scarfed. The lack of a Terra there is what surprised me. I think that would have been a huge turn of Terra, because by getting that knockout, it means that Arcanine now becomes infinitely stronger in this matchup for me, which is why I wanted to prioritize that KO. Okay, they just Heat Crash, yep. Nice, we survive. Farigiraf stays asleep. That could have been scary if they woke up and went for Psychic, specifically. But now... Gouging Fire goes to sleep. Cool. Moody attack boost. Yeah, back in the day in VGC, the game wouldn't show you stat changes, so you'd have to literally hand track all of these. Good times. I'm happy to switch Smeargle out now into Flutter. And just Rock Slide. I could Head Smash here. Maybe Head Smash is worth it. Like 80% chance to just get a knockout immediately doesn't sound terrible. Actually, I think Head Smash is worth it there. Because if we get the knockout, then Perish Song just wins the game immediately. Good damage. And Farigiraf stays asleep, which is quite fortunate. So, they've eaten 3 turns of sleep, so that's going to wake up for sure now. But you're intimidated. Like, Gouging Fire is not a threat at all, right? I think I'm just going to Moonblast Farigiraf. I don't mind Moonblast and Flare Blitz into this slot, personally. I guess the only downside here is Farigiraf's guaranteed to wake up, so they could go for, like, a... I was going to say they'd Protect with it. Ting lose their last one, yep. Okay. No Terra on Farigiraf, so Specs Moonblast here. Unfortunately gets the crit, but I was Flare Blitzing that slot as well. So I assume they were Citrus Berry, but I think Moonblast and Flare Blitz should still get the knockout. But with that crit, the game is just guaranteed over immediately. So definitely a little bit lucky there, depending on their EV spread. But I honestly would expect the double up to get the KO. Like, that play was made in anticipation of Ting Lu switching in. Gouging Fire comes back out. This game still isn't necessarily over, though, so I want to still be a little bit careful. You can obviously just wake up and, like, get an immediate wake up and Heat Crash, and then Stomping Tantrum. So I want to switch Smeargle and Zapdos in. Okay. They still haven't Terra'd either, by the way. But yeah, I think switching Arc makes sense just to get that Intimidate. I guess they could go for like a Howl here immediately, which would be cool. Terra finally comes out. Poison Ting Lu would make sense. This thing could still pose some problems for me in this endgame. Oh, you know, we probably didn't need to switch because they don't have the booster energy anymore on Gouging Fire. I think it's still worth it, though, because they might go for Burning Bulwark. No, they go for Howl. Okay, very nicely done. Alright, this makes this endgame actually super interesting. Oh, but they're going to Earthquake themselves. Okay. Works for me. Knocks out their own Gouging Fire. Yeah. Howl is cool, but I think it's really risky to go for that since you know I have Zapdos in the back plus Smeargle anyway. So by going for that Howl, you basically always concede that you're knocking out your own Gouging Fire. So now I can just bring out Arcanine. But I think I had, yeah, good early control of this game. Smeargle put in ridiculous amounts of work, honestly, with the Spore. And the main thing is we may have won a Zapdos speed tie, right? This is max speed, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were max speed as well. And so this game would look very differently if their Zapdos moves before ours. And the main question I had that turn was where's Brave Bird going into, right? Because I was hoping to bait it into the Flutter main slot. But yeah, Life 4, Brave Bird, and Flare Blitz should just get the knockout. Scary team, though. I think Ting Lu can actually be a huge threat to our composition. So we were lucky enough that we picked up a lot of momentum where it was a little bit too late for Ting Lu to do everything in this game. But like I said, yeah, like definitely had some potential good fortune in this game. The potential speed tie between the Zapdoses. And I really would have expected a speed tie there. So, you know, 50% of the time, if it is a speed tie, this game looks very differently. And then the double up on a Farigiraf, like critting that Moonblast. I don't, like, my assumption is the double up would still get the knockout on Farigiraf, but I can't say that with 100% confidence without knowing their EV spread. And so if like they end up surviving there and get Trick Room up, this game would also obviously look pretty differently. But yeah. All right, let's see if we can keep the streak going. We are up against Hyper Offense here. So it's normally Urshifu Water on these teams with Choice Scarf, Tornadus with Rain Dance, Fire Ogre Pond, Drago, Indeedee, and Crown. This is really scary. I think Wide Guard could be quite good here on Smeargle. I think basically the problem is even if I match their Tailwind, they are still going to just be faster than me in general. But I think what I can do is kind of make it awkward for them by attacking everything other than Tornadus and using Shiftry to wall Tornadus, should they go with Tailwind. So like I'm thinking just Shiftry Zapdos here. Do I want Hisuian Arcanine? It's a good switch into Torn. I don't think I bring Smeargle in this one. So I think it's between Flutter, Ogre, and Hisuian Arcanine. Flutter's not that great in a Crown. I mean, Ogre Terra is what makes it compelling to me. But I think I might go Flutter Arcanine here. Ogre does feel like it can be pretty solid here, though. Like, it does a lot of damage, and it can, with Terra, soak up damage as well. So let's see. Shiftry plus the Galarian Zapdos allows me... I could also stagger Tailwind by a turn, but I was going to say it allows me to just fake out Tailwind, obviously. But Cobra Cloak is something to worry about. And it's just going to be Urshifu Torn. Okay. So one of my questions is whether or not there's Scarf Urshifu here, but I kind of want to just go fake out. And Brave Bird here. Because I think matching their Tailwind doesn't really make too much sense here if they're just going to be faster than me anyway. Okay, they're going to go for a Terra here, which is fine. Terra Ursh. Okay, just in the water. I mean, this is totally okay because we just fake out Brave Bird into Sucker Punch Tailwind, I think. I was worried about an Indeedee switch in here potentially. Like, one cool play you could make is switch Tornadus into Indeedee and then you turn into Shiftry. But yeah, they Tailwind. That's okay. Should be Scarf Urshifu here most of the time. So we get Brave Bird off. Almost a KO. The question is what I want to do with Zapdos this turn. So Sucker Punch here is pretty safe. I say it's safe, but I guess they could switch out Tornadus into Indeedee and then go for Sucker, which would be a really strong play. I personally would like to Sucker Punch and Detect here. The alternative is Steel Terra Tailwind, but I actually don't think that's a terrible option. The thing is, then I am weak to Ogerpon. And tearing both of these don't seem like a terrible idea. So, I'll go for Sucker Punch and Detect here, but we'll see if they switch into Indeedee. Yeah, Torn switches, okay. I'm assuming that's Indeedee coming out. Nice play. Okay, and then strikes onto Zapdos maybe. Yep, so Sucker Punch fails. They're Surging Strikes. My counterplay to this would have been just Leaf Blading this turn, but if I had Terra Zapdos and tried to Tailwind, I would have just fainted, right? So, like, in the off chance they didn't bring Indeedee in the back, I think this play would have worked out quite nicely, but now we don't have Tailwind up, which is quite scary. It's actually kind of hard to see myself winning this game with Psychic Terrain up since this team loves priority. Like, the lack of extreme speed and Shiftry being able to attack is pretty bad for us here. Yeah, I actually think this game is probably over because... Well, no, okay, the solution is, I think, Terra Arcanine here. Yeah, I have to Terra Arcanine right now. I wasn't sure if they really wanted to bring Indeedee into this matchup, but they had really good foresight into all the priority that I had. So yeah, I think Leaf Blade there would have just been better. Maybe I got a little bit greedy. Because if I trade there, the Urshifu for Zapdos, it's actually not a bad trade, right? Because then you have Indeedee, you have Tornadus, and then one final Pokemon, and Hisu and Arcanine actually matches up really well into the rest of their team. So here I'll go for Knockoff. Man, this also might just be Rocky Helmet. But I'll go for Knockoff, Terra, Rock Slide. I mean, if anything, they should follow me, right? I think it's better to just get the KO on the Urshifu. Because I can see them going Help Me Hand Surging Strikes into Hisu and Arc for a KO. So, yeah. I took a gamble. I mean, they could have also just switched Indeedee in on turn 1 and made that U-turn play, like I said, which would have been pretty rough. But I didn't have super good counterplay to that, other than maybe doubling up onto that slot. Yeah, and it's going to be Helping Hand. Okay. Don't know if Arcanine even survives this. Let's see. I doubt it. I mean, Water Terra and Helping Hand boosted. Oh, but they target Shiftry. Okay. Wait, that's huge. Oh, it's a damage roll as to whether or not I faint. Okay, Shiftry. Nice. That's huge. But unfortunately, this means I could have gone Knockoff onto the Indeedee slot. However, I actually would argue that Indeedee not fainting might be a little bit beneficial just because it prevents them from getting like a super strong Pokemon out immediately. So there's a Choice Scarf. I mainly wanted to cover for Follow Me coming out from Indeedee. But I guess if Follow Me comes out, well then, yeah. So the idea is if Follow Me comes out, Surging Strikes does not knock out either Pokemon. So that was kind of the logic there. Cobalion's their last one though, okay. It's not great to see. And it's Special Attack boost. I mean, I think I just get dunked on by Helping Hand plus Expanding Force right now. We could totally win with late game Flutter, though, if Flare Blitz just KOs this. Oh, sorry. They can't Expanding Force. They would have to maybe Dazzling Gleam. Oh, but this can just Tacky and Cutter into Arcanine, right? Okay, well, I don't think they're going to Expanding Force. I'm going to switch out into Flutter to conserve Shiftry. And then Flare Blitz into Cobalion. Not Cobalion, Iron Crown. I guess you could theoretically just go Helping Hand plus Tacky and Cutter into the Arc slot, which would be really strong. Okay. Oh, that is so strong. Oh my goodness. That just KOs me. Wow. Okay. So if I didn't Terra, then this turn would have actually worked out better for us with Assault Vest. But yeah, Crown in Psychic Terrain is just so powerful here. Dazzling Gleam comes out. Tailwind peters out. I think there's still a slight chance to win this. I mean, so Entity definitely goes for Follow Me right now, right? You follow me and then you go for the knockout onto Fluttermane. Yeah, Psychic Terrain was just such a big barrier for us in this game. And given the 4 that they brought, Water Ogre Pond would have been quite good. Because we could Terra and then like heal up with Horn Leech. But I mean, Hisuian Arcanine actually was a fine pick as well. I think my main mistake in this game was just not Leaf Blading Urshifu and them being smart and switching in Entity immediately. That was well done. If you follow me here, I don't think I ever win, because Knockoff is not going to knock this out. So I think I play towards a throw in which they just don't follow me for some reason. Yeah, but with Follow Me, I can't win. Like, I could go for a Moonblast Knockoff, but with one more turn of Psychic Terrain, with the Shiftry not even being able to protect, I think... Oh, we were faster with Shiftry. That's interesting. Okay. But yeah, Knockoff isn't going to KO the Iron Crown because the item has already been consumed. And with them having Helmet, we also just faint from it. And there's just Tacky and Cutter. Yep. This Booster Crown was just so powerful. I thought if Arcanine could survive that turn, we actually had a very good chance of winning, because then I just get the Flare Blitz off into that slot. And then even if it's low, I think Fluttermane, Dazzling Gleam plus Shiftry actually closes out the game. So... unfortunately, Arcanine was not able to survive there, and I think the main thing that I could have done better that turn was, I don't know, like, maybe I should have just bet on them, because I think Helping Hand, Surging Strikes is always the play into Arcanine. Let me actually calc if our Arcanine survives that. I wouldn't guess so, but I'm curious. So pulling up the calc, if you're a max attack Urshifu, then Surging Strikes with Helping Hand always gets the knockout onto Terra Fairy Arcanine. But a lot of Scarf Urshifus run kind of in the mid 100s range. So let's say you're like 120 attack EVs, for example. Then it becomes a damage roll. And so I don't know if I really regret that turn. Maybe Knockoff should have just gone off into the Entity slot anyway. And then that turn, we could have potentially gotten a double knockout. But with Entity being Rocky Helmet, I think that also caused some big problems. To me, the main difference I could have made in this game is just clicking Leaf Blade that turn, that the Zapdos slot went down, because Urshifu was just so strong into our entire team composition, especially with Helping Hand support from Entity. But if I trade Zapdos for the Urshifu, then at least things are a little bit more reasonable. It's still kind of hard to break through Hisuian Arcanine plus the... Iron Crown, though, to be honest, so I don't think this was necessarily the easiest matchup, because even if we set up Tailwind, they're just faster than everything, and Entity provides really, really good support for my opponent, and they have so many strong attacks across the board. Alright, we've got a really interesting team here. Chiyu, Bundo, Flutter, Ogerpon, Urshifu, and the Raging Bolt. What do I want to do here? Cornerstone Ogerpon's really scary because of that Sash. I feel like Assault Vest, Hisuian Arcanine should be really good here. Shiftry is immune to Heat Wave, which is nice, but Bundle looks way too powerful here, which I'm a little bit worried about. Bolt is kind of scary too. I definitely don't want Smeargle, but I'm mainly struggling to figure out which two to bring in the back. I think I'm fine with the Zapdos Shiftry lead. I mean, is there any room for an Ogre Zapdos lead? Because I could Terra. Fake Out Pressure seems pretty good here, though. Flutter Chi is probably what I'm worried about with this combo. So if I'm worried about that, Hisuian Arcanine, I think, has to be in the back. And then I think Flutter for it. Dazzle just looks really strong here. Let's see. I mean, their team feels very hyper offensive. Like, there's a lot of good damage across the board. My general plan is to aim to set up Tailwind, but that might involve going for Steel Terra turn 1. Another thing to think about is if I Steel Terra, I become very weak to certain attacks on there, and like Chi-Yu as well as Urshifu. Dark Urshifu and Flutter Mane, okay. Booster speed. Okay. Taunt on this is a huge problem. I don't want to run. Nope. I think the play I'd like to make is Fake Out, Terra, and Brave Bird. They could obviously double protect, but yeah, I had a practice game where I lost immediately just because I got taunted, couldn't set up Tailwind, and my whole team just got outpaced. So the Terra here prevents them from KOing Zapdos. Fake Out would break a potential Sash on Ursh. I'm actually going to Terra Urshifu, okay? That's fine. Unless it's Ghost Terra, which isn't that common. Respect. Ghost Terra is one of the best Terras you can have in best of 1 because you get to bypass Fake Out and... Okay, they just Gleam. Could be worse, I guess, because I'll get the knockout onto Flutter at least. Yeah. But, I mean, this is still a big problem, right? Okay. Yeah, Wicked Blow into Shiftry. Nicely played. Probably Sash on that, too. I didn't get Tailwind up, but I can obviously just set it up now. I think I'll bring out Flutter Mane. Oh, bundle comes out. It's not booster bundle, which is interesting, but because I committed my Terra already... Aw, Ghost Terra is so bad for us here, because immunity to Fake Out and extreme speed is like the worst combo. How do I even win from this point on? If this is Sash, like I don't really see too much of an out. You just Wicked Blow everything now. This is probably Sashed, right? Alright, I just went for Shadow Ball Tailwind, but... Yeah, the Icy Wind. So the reason I went for Shadow Ball Tailwind is if they were to miss Icy Wind on Flutter Mane. I mean, this activates Defiant, but now you just dunk on that slot. I guess it's still potentially winnable if they Wicked Blow Zapdos. Or if I survive this. But yeah, I don't. Although I guess now I do get Tailwind up, so I could theoretically flinch infinitely with Rock Slide. Yeah. The thing is, Urshifu can just Sucker Punch now into the Zapdos slot as you Hydro Pump into Arcanine. Good Head Smash here. I'm gonna Rock Slide into Tact. I mean, this could still be Choice Banded, no? That totally could be the case. So maybe we play assuming it is banded. But then it's probably Sash on Bundle. Okay, so I play for a Rock Slide flinch here. And I'll close... Oh my gosh, that should have been Brave Bird. I misclicked. Okay, it doesn't end up mattering. So they're not banded. Yeah, I mean, Sash is on one of these. I just can't, for the life of me, figure out what the item is on the non-Sashed Pokemon. But that means you can Sucker Punch me. Okay, I'm glad the misclick didn't end up mattering, because that would have been really sad. Especially when I saw Bundle Protecting, I was like, don't tell me. Rock Slide. I mean, I think they have to Sucker Punch here, so I'm going to play towards flinching the bundle. Does it even matter? Even if I flinch this, then you just double protect, you stall out my Tailwind, and then you just... Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Head Smashes will Oko onto Urshifu. Alright, I'll just Brave Bird. If for some reason they don't Sucker Punch, but yeah, they just do. And that's a knockout. Okay. I figured like it's worth going for if there's any chance we survive there. Because if we survive and actually get the knockouts, that would be huge. Rock Slide. It's decent damage, but now they just Hydro Pump me. Oh, it's just another Icy Wind. Interesting. I guess they didn't want to risk the miss. And now you know you can just Wicked Blow or Close Combat into us. Yeah. I wasn't sure Sucker Punch was gonna knock out Zapdos there, which is why I went for that play, right? If we had actually survived that, we get the knockout in return. But then, to be honest, I faint from Recoil, and then it's Arcanine 1v2, and I don't think Arcanine can pull it off anyway. Bundled. I mean, you just double protect right now. Stalled out Tailwind. Yeah, Ghost Terra is one of the best Terras to run in best of one closed team sheet for the ladder, because like Ghost Terra on Urshifu, you mainly would use specifically to get around Fake Out, right? So it allows you to lead Urshifu with Flutter Mane and just have a very nice anti-Fake Out lead. Not too much I can do about that in like the closed team sheet environment, and it's a really cool tech. So, you know, props to my opponent for running it. E-Speed does knock out Bundos. I'm hoping we can at least see what my opponent's fourth was, just to have some sense. Wicked Blow. We survive. Is that Black Glasses then on Ursh? What's your last one? Ogre Pod. Yeah, this one's like tough to break through. They just have so many fast Pokemon, and I was not able to... I mean, I guess I should have just set up Tailwind, but I was really worried about Taunt from Flutter Mane, which I've run into before. But I guess Shiftry went down anyway. If I Tailwind, then you can just double protect. And it just causes a lot of problems. So, sorry, I didn't mean to drag this game on. But... yeah, this one's just tough. I think, like, with so much offense from my opponent's side, I can't really take that many great trades. I have to Terra just to get around Speed Booster Flutter. And Urshifu just packs a punch, pun intended, against everything that we have here. So, yeah. Against Ghost Terra, Urshifu plus Flutter Mane, what even is our best lead? Without knowing Flutter's full moveset and assuming it might have Taunt. It's really tough. I guess maybe Water Ogre. I could follow me. Steel Terra, Tailwind. And then have Shiftry in the back. That's maybe one approach. I think the problem in this game, though, is that I don't get knockouts quickly enough because there's probably a Sash somewhere between the Urshifu and the bundle. So with one of those having Sash and with Cornerstone Ogre Pawn, it's relatively easy to like double protect, survive attacks, double protect, and then speed control's over. And then Zapdos goes down, and then the rest of my team just isn't necessarily fast enough. And like double Icy Wind pressure is also really scary here from bundle plus the Flutter, because it means that I can't just bring out my Flutter and outpace everything. So yeah, this was a tricky matchup. I think this team really wants to move first all the time, and Speed Booster Flutter already causes some problems. The fact that so many Speed Booster Flutters run Taunt, you know, gave me more concern, and as a result I didn't set up Tailwind early, and then they were able to just come out and you know, kind of outpace me consistently. But it's really interesting to not see Booster on bundle, so I'm curious what item it was running specifically. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one, so thank you so much as always for joining me. It was so fun to try out this Galarian Zapdos Shiftry combination, so huge thanks to Jon for providing and sharing this team, and I'll see you all next time. Alright, peace.